Hello! Happy Halloween season. I know it's not technically autumn yet, we have like a week, but hello. Halloween has started because Agatha is airing tonight and I saw it last night, which means it's officially Halloween because Witch Media means it's officially Halloween. I would show you the notes I took, but it's the first time I've taken notes while watching a early screening or a premiere, and it's probably better that I just show you. Warning for spoilers, there's not really legible spoilers, but if you are worried. Those are my notes. Pages of me writing over myself on accident. Oops, it's okay. It was mostly so I didn't like forget anything, but since I just did it last night and I'm here today recording it, that shouldn't be a problem, but we'll see. General opinion of Agatha, I think it is probably going to be in my top 4 or 5 Marvel shows, which is like Loki, Moon Knight, Wandavision. Since it's the extension of Wandavision, I kind of expected it to be up there in like my top shows. Not surprising to me. I love witchy media as well, in like the goth and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna jump into what I did like about it. Found like witch media in its like core is very like queer, very like found family. There's covens, there's this group of people that you meet that support you essentially no matter what. Cast spells, you're reliant on each other, blah 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 blah. So anything with that, like I liked Loki for their TVA found family in the 2nd season. And it's just that like inherently like Young Avengers is that way, where it's just a band of outcasts, outsiders, like, X-Men is the same way. They are also a found family with the like queer tropes in it. So that is something that is like very near and dear to my heart. It's very like eminent. That's not the word I wanted. Very obvious as you go through. Like that's the core theme, even if like these witches don't like each other, because like Rio and Agatha don't get along, and Agatha is a old witch, which I'm sure they're taking from the comics. She's been around forever and she pretty much has everybody on her bad side. So nobody really likes her. Nobody wants to help her get her powers back because they like that she doesn't have powers. It's actually a good thing for them. They're a family found through need from something. They're not doing, like, this isn't a good found family. It's a toxic found family, at least for now, in these 2 episodes that I saw, which I do think the Witch's Road will, draw them closer together. That's cool. I love those stories. I eat it up. Like, that's my thing. But I went into this knowing that this was going to be entirely made for me. So when we start out in the show, it is very true crime. I think it's True Detective. I have not watched it personally, so I don't know. Bones, like, very, I would say, my sibling said Grace Point as opposed to Broadchurch. Very American true crime. But it's Agnes, not Agatha, as a detective who has been suspended from work without pay because she punched a suspect who is now acquitted, essentially. Which I don't know if that is just their cover-up for, hey, you and Wanda fought and this is your punishment. That was really cool. So she's suspended without pay. She is locked in Westview without her autonomy, essentially. And then she finds a Jane Doe, and that Jane Doe is essentially Wanda. It has the black fingers. She's been killed by blunt force trauma without any reason or rhyme for there to be anything around there. She has a library card on her person that is for, I can't remember, I wrote it down in that mess of scribbles, but essentially the acronym of the book that she had checked out was Darkhold. Each checkout before that is somebody, like another witch that has had the Darkhold before, so the one right before her is Agatha, which is really cool. She is put on a case with Rio, who is not Rio. I can't remember what she actually is introduced as, but she is working with the FBI, but she keeps hinting at Agnes that like, is this how you see yourself? Is this what you're like doing now? All right, I'll play your game. So then Agnes goes home, and the part that had me like this one being like super hype is they show Agnes walking through her house, and she is like visibly distraught, visibly upset, and it is a kid's room, and you see like drawings on the ground and stuff, and it reveals that it is Nicholas Scratch, who is her son in the comics and the father of the Salem 7. Do they do anything else to allude to that at all? No, it's just because I know it from the comics. Nicholas is the father of the Salem 7, which we will get to, and essentially is like a bigger witch as well, so I would assume that this means that in this time that he has grown up, he has gone back to Salem, he has made the Salem 7, and now he is trying to kill his mom, or they are trying to kill Agatha. Regardless, very cool, very excited. I'm very excited for this little sprinkle of plot. Rio comes over with pizza, and they drink and they eat the pizza, and then Teen ends up breaking into Agnes's house, and there's a foot chase a la every true crime, like, so they take him in and arrest him, and Agnes is interrogating him. He has his fingers are a little black from the Darkhold, but I would essentially assume it was from falling in the dirt. He's talking about how Agnes is talking to a painting, how Agnes is showing him pictures of a flower bed instead of a body that she was asking him about, just slowly chipping away at the curse that Wanda left her, which is really cool. And then she ends up leaving and going to the morgue and trying to see who the body was and if it even existed at that point, because she's questioning her reality, which she had a conversation with Rio about, like, this is reality and this isn't reality, and Rio was laughing about it because, like, she obviously knows that this is not actually her reality, this is the thing she's trapped inside. But she goes to see Wanda's body and then finds out that it is in fact Wanda, and it kind of like shatters her reality a little bit, reality quote unquote, which is cool because, like, you get to see Agnes go through all the different eras of, like, Wanda's hex on Westview, so she's, you know, shedding all of these personas that she's essentially put on. And then Rio says to break yourself out, and she does, and then the episode ends there, I believe. It's very fun. Like, I worry people think it's slow because it's very, like, heavily Wandavision, like this is a show inside a show, but it's supposed to be because it's 3 years after the end of Wandavision, so it's just seeing where her brain is, what she's doing. You can see in Wanda's, like, dream, her hex, that are like Norm and Herb and all of these, like, citizens are still there. Then in reality, when she finally breaks through, which is episode 2, Herb is saying, like, oh, you've had a true crime kick lately, like the last few days you've been really into true crime. Does that mean they were also still kind of in this hex? I don't know. That'll be interesting to see if, like, everybody else was also a part of Agatha's punishment. So that's something I'm excited for. So episode 2, we are introduced to Rio for real, that she is a witch. She has the power of wind. I wonder if, because there's a character that does have, like, the ability to do, like, vertigo and stuff, but there's also, like, wind ones that maybe, because there's not a Rio in the comics. Rio is very much based on something that they are trying to hint that it is a character that kind of exists, but it is her own character. Aubrey Plaza said she's really excited to play this character, which is cool. I don't know for what reason that is, but she keeps hinting at something. But within the fight, like, Agatha is powerless. They're fighting with magic, blah, blah, blah. They're, you know, kicking, punching, scratching. It's very good. Rio ends up, like, licking the blood off of Agatha's hand, which makes me wonder if this is something that we will get, like, if we'll get blood magic out of it, because Nico Minoru from the comics has had a very big resurgence this last year. She's had a spinoff. She's in House of Darkness, which is a new, like, comic line. She's back in the forefront of a lot of things, seemingly very suddenly. She does blood magic. It's kind of like Corona from Soul Eater. Her powers come from the, you know, blood. She can cast stuff. So maybe not, like, that might be a bad take because Corona's sword is from there. But the staff that she has that fuels her magic is from blood. So she licks Agatha's hand and leaves. So my brain says maybe we are getting blood magic. Maybe. Then Agatha frees Teen. They talk a little bit. Teen introduces himself and can't say his name. Billy Kaplan. Cough. And then they talk about the Witch's Road and how Teen wants, he's studied magic. He can break the spells of the Scarlet Witch, but he wants to teleport. He wants to be able to, I believe, levitation, something else, force fields, and something else was, like, the powers he, like, specifically listed out. Wiccan. It's Wiccan. It's Wiccan. That essentially is the powers that he listed out. I will keep writing this until it's proven otherwise, and then I will write it further, I'm sure. It has to be. He's the perfect Wiccan. But outside of it, I love Teen as a character. I think he's very funny. I think him being put in this situation, well, he put himself in this situation. He's very good at playing all of the characters that you'll meet in this episode very well. I don't think, like, villain-wise, but he really wants to get to the Witch's Road, and he will get there no matter what. So he plays with Agatha's ego to get her to want to walk the road, because at the very end, you'll get what you want the most, which is, like, the same thing that the Darkhold promised. It will show you what you need the most. It'll give you what you want the most if you make it to the end. So they meet Lilia, who is a psychic, played by Patti LuPone, and they talk to her and play this, like, father-son, my husband just died and I want the gold, trying to con the con woman, essentially. So Lilia plays with them, and then at the very end she goes, oh yeah, I know you're like Agatha, that you desire something and somebody took your autonomy from you 3 years ago and you're trying to get it back, which is trying that Wanda stripped her of her powers and her ability ability to live by trapping her in the hex, and that was her hint to be like, I know who you are. So they talk to each other. Lilia says that I will not join your coven, I don't want to be in a coven, blah 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 blah. I should backtrack. Forming a coven, they drop the funniest like joke, I think, because they say wherever you are a coven there shall be, which means just any witches within a handful of mile radiuses, even if they're not good witches or enough to form a coven, there will be enough to form a coven. I think that's really funny and a very fun little world building thing. Just, you might not have the best of the best, but you can get something done. It's very funny. Meeting Lilia, and then she is like, I don't want to do it, blah 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 blah. And then Agatha goes, hey, I found this eviction notice on your door. If you don't walk the road with us, you're not walking anything, because this isn't going to lead you anywhere. You're not doing well in life. So Lilia gives her the list of the witches she needs on the back of the eviction notice and hands it back, and they say, she says, here's your witches, go find them. And then Teen goes, your name's on this list. And she goes, oh. And Lilia's been going back and forth with like spirits and stuff, talking to something disembodied that has been, you know, bothering her. She just like has outbursts of like, don't touch me, don't talk to me, start screaming. So something else is influencing the decision, so I'm sure whatever that is ended up writing the list, and then she is actually genuinely surprised that her name is on the list. I don't think it's anything malicious, it's something that she can't control. They then go to enlist Jennifer Kale, who's very cool. In the comics, she is a friend of Man-Thing who was in Werewolf by Night, which is really cool. In here she runs a edible candle shop. It's for wellness, not for like gardening. They come in, she's like an influencer, she's been bound, so she has no magic. So she's been doing like human side quests for a while. She's like, I don't want to, you know, work with you, blah, blah, blah. It's a common thread, or it's a common trend. Nobody wants to work with Agatha, that's fine. She's done a lot. If they do anything like what she has done in the comics, she is, you know, killed her coven mates, she is absorbed all the powers of people, blah 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 blah. Not good for if you need a favor from your fellow witches. And then Teen pulls out the, hey, I followed you on Instagram, I really like your stuff, you know, flattery. Sucks that you had a lawsuit against you though, and that you'll probably end up going to jail for, you know, maiming 800 people or something. To which they say, oh, you're bound from your magic, but you're also going to be bound for life in jail. Sucks to suck, come walk the road. And then they find their last witch, who is Alice Wu, who I really like in the comics. I think she's really fun. In the comics, she is the daughter of a Chinese witch that's really has a lot of power within like the government, and just as a witch in general, and a cop. She ends up being a cop like her father, but she ends up magically imbuing her weapons with her magic because she didn't really want to follow her mother's footsteps. But in this show, she is a security guard at a mall because she is no longer a cop, but her mom's a rock star in this and has written The Ballad of the Witch's Road and has disappeared possibly from walking the Witch's Road, which is kind of what Wanda's mom is in. She hasn't disappeared because of that, but she has disappeared. She's dead, quote unquote. And Wanda finds her on the Witch's Road. So I think that they're going to do what Wanda and her mother had in the comics with Alice and her mom, which I'm really excited for. Teen pretends to shoplift, and then Agatha turns it around as a, like, this woman was attacking my son. She gets fired on the spot. Alice gets fired on the spot, and then they offer to like, hey, come find your mom, because we're going, so might as well, because you don't have a job now. All this time, I keep not mentioning it, Agatha's been seeing wildlife around her. There's a crow, there's a rat, and then when she gets back home, she exits her house and sees a coyote. Agatha sees a crow, a rat, and a coyote, a rat being the symbolism of like something evil coming after you or something bad happening to you, the crow being that something is going to change in your life, and then the coyote being like, are you ready for this change? Are you ready for this transformation? So that's something super interesting. It's not really stated that way, but like witchcraft and symbolism and all of that stuff. I'm really excited for like these little subtle hits. They're at Agatha's house. Teen sets it up for a coven meeting. All of the witches end up showing up, which is really cool. And then they're like, hey, so we have earth, fire, water. No, we have, they're like, hey, we have water, fire, air, we need an earth witch. We don't have one. The last thing that was written on that list was a black heart, and then Agatha's like, it's only black because you had a black Sharpie, and she's like panicking and didn't want to do it, and then she's like, fine, whatever, I'll go find the last witch. And then she goes and finds Mrs. Hart from Wandavision, who is Susan, and she's gardening, and Agatha's kind of like, oh, do you want to have this or come to this party, blah 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 blah, and then she ends up going as the final witch. I don't think she's actually the witch. I didn't see the third episode. I don't know. From the 2 episodes, she's not the earth witch. It's probably Rio. Rio and Agatha don't get along, obviously. She doesn't want to be like, hi, Want to come walk the witch's road with your worst enemy who is powerless? That sounds like a good idea. They end up doing the ballad to summon the road. It's a very, very beautiful song and it sounds so good. And I can't wait to have it on repeat forever. I've had it on repeat since like D23. It's also the leitmotif in like the entire soundtrack. So that's really cool because it starts with her humming it in the first episode and it comes in and out. And that's really cool. I'm really excited about seeing where it picks up and where it doesn't. I don't know if it'll disappear now that they've summoned the road or if it's just going to be like the thing that connects all the music. I'm really excited about it. I love the composers for Wandavision, so I'm really excited about that. So they sing their song, the door doesn't appear, so they start bickering, and then Lilia ends up understanding that like, oh, this was Agatha's plan. She just wants us so angry that we attack her so she can avoid, or jumpstart her powers like a car, essentially. They don't attack her because they are very smart witches. And then they realize that the door has been summoned and they've all been standing on it. So they open it. The whole time Teen is upstairs with Senior Scratchy, I believe, who I think is Nicholas Scratch in a rabbit form. I think he's been trapped as Agatha's familiar. The Salem 7 are at the door. They're, you know, crawling through. They're doing little jump scares. They're actually kind of spooky. And then he comes running down the stairs as soon as they open the door and he just goes and pulls through because he's like, we gotta go. So they all file into the Witch's Road door and then it closes behind them and seals shut. And then our coven has ended up on the Witch's Road and they all remove their shoes and they walk on. And I'm really excited. That's a really good first 2 episodes, like, together. I'm glad that it ended where it did and I'm like excited. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's taken from the comic run, which is really cool. The show is beautiful. I don't know if it's filmed on film like Loki was, but it feels like it was. It has that like autumny vibe. The, you know, the true crime thing is very dark and autumny and rainy and it makes me miss Seattle so bad. And then the Witch's Road is very mystical. It's very much like the comics. It looks very reminiscent, in my opinion, to like the first few levels of the comic. I do know that stuff that I like, things are changing. Marvel characters are never exactly how they are in the comics. I'm excited to see what those changes are. I'm excited to see how they're going to talk about witchcraft because they've already kind of put the like, there's like a sprinkling of the way that witches are treated, because witches inherently are very queer, they're outcasts, they're this, that, and the other thing. There's also in the comic run, they talk about how it's also a very powerful thing for women, how like it's very powerful for Wanda's culture, for the Romani people, for all of that, which they're unfortunately lacking in this, and it's disheartening. But there's also things to be said, like witches in general, it would be a shame not to bring up that they are very anti-Semitic in their caricatures with like the witches that you might know from a lot of Halloween stuff from like so I'm interested to see what all is going to be touched on. It is a Marvel show, so I'm not super enthused by the things that could be touched on that aren't, but I'm excited for the show. So I took a monsters class in college and it was very much about like the reflection of the time of things. So these like dark things are a reflection of what we fear at the time. It's something to be pointed out that a lot of the stuff that we are watching right now that are horror movies that are relevant are like plagues, but it's also just the other people. It's not anything fantastical. There's a lot of like murderers, there's a lot of like scary people that you spend an evening with, there's a lot of just normal people, which is interesting. So I'm interested to see what the overlying theme of witchcraft is, because I think they could do a found family, a queer, a empowering woman thing like the comic was, minus being as like witchcraft inherently is queer from all of those themes, but there is Teen who is openly gay. He answers a call from his boyfriend. That's cool. I'm glad that they like kept it pretty mainstream. They just treated it, they talked about it, they walked away. I don't know if I'm just getting old and like I don't mind that it's just a like, hey, he worries about me, let's go. I like that. That's fine with me. But yeah, I am excited to see where the show goes. I am excited to see how they're going to handle magic. I'm excited to learn more about the world of magic because it's going to be magic is magic and not science is magic. And it definitely feels like we're setting down some like ground rules for that. I'm excited to see like Agatha, Catherine Hahn is amazing. She's so funny. They're just all so good. I'm excited to see the changes they're making in these characters. I'm excited for Teen to be Wiccan, but that's just, I'm going to keep saying that until it happens. It's just, he would be a very good Billy Kaplan, and he has made a character that is so Billy Kaplan that if he's not, it's a waste of a character. And you can't, you know, Ralph Boner us twice. So Rio, I'm excited to see who and what character she ends up being. Is she Nicholas Scratch in disguise? Is she like Nico Minoru? Is she like one of the Salem 7? And that's why she wasn't there to walk the road. We're just gonna have to sit and find out. And I'm actually like super excited about this show. Probably easily top 5 unless they like really mess something up. But hey, if you liked this, I know it's different from my normal stuff, it's just like a talk about something I saw, definitely give a like and subscribe and tell me what you're excited about for in Agatha All Along, and I will see you guys later. Happy spooky season. Bye.